Hey everybody, this is Cherokee Edwards from Cherokee Edwards Inspires, where we're going to have shows here to talk about life, to talk about what makes your life special, what makes it better, and everybody working together, because together everyone achieves more. Acronym for the word team. Stay tuned and let's get it on. Hey everybody, what's going on? It's your boy Cherokee of the Cherokee Edwards Inspires show. And once again, as always, I'm here to answer some questions and take requests. I've been requested recently to speak about friends and the right circles. I'm always talking about being in the right circles and doing the right things and trying to make the best of bad situations, kind of like the one we're all facing now. So tonight I'm going to talk about the what is a friend, what's the difference, what's the definition of a friend, because a lot of people's definition of friendship is really not. To me, a friendship is somebody that you can count on and that is there for you in the good and bad times, not just when things are going good, but also when things aren't the best. So this is one of those things where if you're going through something, that friend's going to be right there, and you don't have to really ask for them to be there. They're naturally going to be there. I'll give you some examples, and some of the people that I've spoken with recently probably are sitting there saying, oh yeah, I can attest to this. Well, you got a thing where you've done something enormous, like you're going for the gold. You're trying to be the best you can be. And instead of supporting you, your so-called friends, as I use my air quotes, are ignoring everything that you're doing. So they don't support anything that you do positive. What they kind of want to do sometimes is watch you fail. And I think they pray for your downfall, and and it's not because they don't like you. It's not because they don't like you. They actually may love you, but there's this saying, misery loves company. And that's one of those things where that happens. And I want you guys out there, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to understand that saying is really true. It didn't just get made up in the last 4 or 5 years. It didn't get made up in the last decade. This thing has been around. That saying has been around before I was born and before my parents were born. I mean, because they got told that when they were little. They were told that when they were younger, and they passed it on. And I'm passing it on. Misery does love company. However, you have the power to change your company, the company you keep. A lot of times you're going to notice that people are not going to be sort of your friend, or they're not going to be real complimentary to you if it appears that you separated from them. They don't realize that the reason you separated from them is not because you don't like them. It's just because you guys are not equally yoked. You grew apart. There might be a time where, you were down and out, they were down and out, and everything kind of worked. It seemed like it was good because both were suffering, both were struggling. But here's the deal. When you start to climb and you start to build something, you're going to find out that a lot of people are going to think you're conceited, you're arrogant, you feel like you're above them. And none of this stuff is true, but they need some type of excuse to give you the pass that you've already pretty much commanded. Now, you've commanded that pass because you decided that you were going to be more than just a gossip channel, a gossip source for anyone, right? And what I mean by that is you could sit here and you could talk about all the bad things that are happening in the world and in the country. You could talk about the pandemic keeping you in the house. You could talk about you lost your job, or, you can't get another job, or when are they going to let us back in? You got these people in the country and they're talking about the economy more than they're talking about the people. Well, I have friends that have contracted this virus. So for those of us that are sitting out here that are claiming that this is a conspiracy, I'm not saying that some of these other ailments aren't getting put into a pot of the coronavirus. They probably are. They've gotten things where they're talking about people that have died in the house that they're not sure, and then they just throw the numbers in that it's a corona death. You got somebody that passed away from regular flu, and they just throw that into the corona. There are people that may be having heart attacks and they're getting thrown into the corona. But here's the thing, whether that's true or not, I was talking to this group, and one of the things I told them is that minorities have been living with a pandemic all their lives, for generations and generations. Now, this is not to give them a pass either. This is just, it's a mental pandemic. It's something that happens around the world, that people are looking for handouts instead of hand-ups. This is the time where you could start focusing, and we talked about this on one of my other shows. Focus on creating your business. Focus on creating wealth right from home. Get to know yourself better. Get to know there's things that you can do. This very podcast was created in April. We really went live in April. We were doing the foundation for it in as early as March. And even I can go back and say January, I said I wanted to do this. But when I really set my sights on it, bought the equipment, got all the stuff I needed to get, we were ready, and we set a course and a date for the first week of April. And that's what we did. We stayed loyal to that. We stayed focused on that. And I wasn't going to let anybody stop me or deter me from having this show. As I'm speaking to you right now, it's just a voice, and this is just my opinion on things, guys. But one thing I can tell you, my days go smoothly and they go efficiently and they're fun. Now, is it fun that I can't go out and see my friends and see my network groups? No. I have a meeting every Friday morning. I meet with 15 of my very close business partners, and we sit down together and we chop it up, and we do it the best way we can on social media. And I'm sure a lot of you guys do the same thing. But here's the deal. When these days come and go, for me, it's just as swiftly as this time last year or any other time. So what I'm saying is, everything, the prison that we make for ourselves mentally, it becomes a real prison, because you start to complain more than you look for strategies and ideas to do something really good. I was speaking with a friend today in Carolina, and I love her to pieces. She's starting a business, and she's working on several businesses. And we talked about all of the nonsense that people are saying, and people are just sitting in corners waiting to be bullied by not just the government, but by life itself. I mean, letting it pass them by. You can go outside, you can step out and get sunlight. Now, one of the things that is seeming to happen is people aren't able to be in each other's business the way they may normally have been. And that might be a good thing for some of you, that the gossip channels are cut short. And I know I love it. I love it because it gives me a time to reflect on the people that care about me and the people that I care about, the people that I'm close to. I will tell you that when things like this happen, you get the chance to see who's really in your corner, because the people that are only complaining and you're going through the same thing or similar things as they are, they're not helping you. They're not helping you at all. So I would say to find people that are going to, make you stronger and make you understand that they're in your corner. They want to be there with you. I have my circle, and my circle is extremely tight, but I love my circle because I know who's on my team and who's not. And it's very simple. My wife's business is picking up drastically. She's doing a lot of great things. And there are some people that are supporting her, and there's some people are not. And I told her, just because people are not supporting you, that doesn't mean they don't care about you. That simply means that that's not their interest to see you succeed. I mean, that's just common sense. There are going to be people that'll be upset with that, but it's the truth. It doesn't make it any less true because you don't like it, because you don't like something that's being said. And if you don't like what I'm saying, I'm probably talking directly to you, so you have to think about it. If you're getting upset with me saying that people that are not supporting you are not good for you, then you're probably the one that needs to start supporting people that you say you love. And if you're not going to do it, just stand aside and let the people shine that want to shine. That's kind of point blank, isn't it? That's kind of point blank. I want to see people shine and be something special. If you're special, shine. Don't dim your light so that your so-called friends don't feel slighted. Make them raise up. A true friend will make them reach down and get hold of themselves and grow. So I want to make sure that I hit this one home because it was asked of me to do that. A lot of people have watched me, and when we come back, I'm going to take a break for station identification. When we come back, we'll get a little deeper into this. We'll be back in a little bit.
If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Cherokee Edwards Inspire Show. And today we're talking about friends, true friends. I always tell people that you can put people in 4 categories. Now, here's the cool part about this. You don't actually have to put them into those 4 categories. You just create the 4 categories and you allow the people around you to put theirself in those categories. That way it's not you forcing the issue. All right, so if you got a piece of paper and a pad handy, I'm going to tell you what those 4 groups are. The first one is family, okay? Now, when I say family, I'm not talking about relatives, and I know I talked about this before. We're going to talk about a difference in family because sometimes people that are not sharing blood with you are more family than the family you were born to. So we're going to put down family. The next column we're going to put down is friends. And the next column, we're going to put down associates. And the 4th and final column, we're going to put down non-associates. Now, here's the deal. When you start talking about family, I want you to regard your family as your protectors, as people that would risk things for you. They would risk their time for you. They'd risk their money for you. They would risk sometimes their very lives for you. They believe in you that much. They would make other people come support you. They just can't help it. They want to see you success. They want to see you successful. They want to see success come to you because they know that as you build, you will remember and you will remember to take them with you. Now, that doesn't mean that if you don't shine, they're going to walk away from you because they're going to keep pushing you back up. They witness and see your greatness and they want to help it shine. Okay, that's the family. That's what we're going to call family, right? That's our definition. Now let's talk about the friends. Friends are in that same category, but just a little less focused. Your friends are going to be, there for you, thick and thin. They're definitely going to be in your corner, cheering you on. They may not always jump in and physically help you, but they're not going to tear you down either. So we're gonna label those as friends, right? And the next column, we got associates. These are people that you run into them, you can tolerate them, and they can tolerate you. And that's the operative word here, the word toleration. If all you're doing is tolerating someone, I'm going to speak for myself. I'm not going to speak for everybody else. But if I know that you're out there and you're around me, right, you're associating with me, and you're tolerating me, I don't want you to do me any favors. I don't want you to tolerate me. I don't want it to be where we just talk when we associate. But however, I know that you can't make people change, right? But you can change who you hang around. You can't change the people you hang around, but you can change the people that you hang around. So in other words, you can't make somebody that you feel like you are their friend. You cannot make them be the type of friend you want them to be. They're going to be who they are, right? But when they show you who they are, here's my advice. Believe them the first time. When they show you that they're not down for you, they're not in your corner, they're selfish, believe them the first time, all right? So that friend is somebody you can talk to, you can conversate with, you can tell them certain things going on in your life, and they may give you feedback and they might just listen, right? Now, that's that associate that we were talking about. I'm sorry. The associate is the person that you just associate with them, and then that's where the game ends. After work or after this, that's it for them, right? Now let's talk about the non-associate. The non-associate is not an enemy. I got to make sure I say this. A non-associate is not an enemy of yours. It's just someone that doesn't choose to be around you, or you may not choose to be around them. Well, guess what? You've heard that saying, you're guilty by association. Well, when you hear it, usually it's something bad because they say guilty by association, but you're also credited by association as well. So in other words, if you hang around good people, respectful people, you're also credited with association. People will associate you with greatness. They will expect great things from you. They will expect you to be professional. They would expect you to be down and outright accountable. Now, if you hang around people that are always late, they don't care about what's going on in the day, they're always complaining about every little thing, then guess what? You are also guilty. Now, here's that word guilty by association. So people will say, oh, yeah, your friends, the people you hang around, you guys, and they'll say that term a lot, you guys, and your friends, your people. When you hear that stuff, they're lumping you in with that category. It's not like they're separating you. They're lumping you in with that. I say all the time, if you're trying to be an accountant, don't hang out with engineers. Now, that doesn't mean don't hang out with them ever. I'm just saying don't put all of your time into the engineer when you should be putting time into accountants, because that's what you want to be. Doctors, lawyers, whatever you're trying to be, business professionals. If you're trying to own a business, you probably should be trying to associate with business networking groups, the BNIs, the business groups, social groups, because they're mentally stimulating, right? You got people around you that have created something special, and some of that can fall off onto you. And that's what you want to have done. If you're going to be a world-class singer, then you want to get with a choir, you want to get with, R&B singers, jazz singers, country rock singers, anything that you like, you want to study it, make that your craft, But if you don't do that, then you can't complain when you don't make it. You have to be almost obsessed. And I say almost obsessed, but I'm going to just change that. I'm going to say you have to be obsessed with success. And that means that nothing and no one is going to stop you from attaining that. If you decide that you want to do business, then you study everything you can study behind that. People were, making young adults feel like it's got to be college or nothing. Well, I think that's a mistake. I think it's a mistake. And if you ask me, why do I think it's a mistake? I think that some of these young people are so gifted that college would actually slow them down. I really believe that. I believe that the curriculum of certain colleges, and the syllabus of teaching on their levels sometimes holds people back. Now, if you ask me, do I feel like we need higher learning? The answer is yes. Yes, I do feel like that you need higher learning. Steve Jobs said it best when he said, please don't let your schooling interfere with your education. If you think about that, don't let your schooling interfere with your education. Well, right now we have this pandemic, and what's happening with all the schools? What just happened with the graduations? College graduations, high school graduations are coming up, right? These things are destroyed. The senior class, their graduation is 12 years of school for the high school students. Not the education down the drain, but the very thing that they work so hard for, to walk across the stage, to get their diploma, to have their family and loved ones cheer them on. That's not going to happen the way in tradition, the way it's happened traditionally for us, right? College graduates, they're not going to do the same thing. They're not going to walk across that stage with thousands of well-wishers and cheers. It's demoralizing to see this pandemic take away our very lives. And I'm back on that because, again, this is about association. I think that we need to study more before we pass judgment on people as well as the current events. There's a lot, and I'm not going to turn this because I really don't like to talk about or argue about politics or religion. These are two things I was always taught. Don't get into confrontations and arguments with that because you can't win them. If somebody's thought is one thing, then, that's their opinion. And they're entitled to their opinion, just as I'm entitled to my opinion. And I don't want somebody to try to force me out of the way I think. We see, things happening, and we talk about this friendship thing in these circles, right? We had a young man be murdered back, a couple months ago in Georgia, and this thing was caught on video. It was caught on the cell phone. It was recorded by someone who was with the assailants, and the man showed the police officer in his car, basically the guy be murdered, this young guy be murdered for going in a house that had no walls to it. And I get it. You hear about it, you say, well, that's trespassing. But since when did trespassing become a capital punishment? And it's just, so you say, oh, it wasn't a hate crime. It's not. The only people that will say that wasn't a hate crime are the people that have something to lose in this ordeal. They want to make it out to be he did something wrong. Even if he did do something wrong, we've all done something wrong. What if we got murdered for every single thing we did wrong? We ran through a red light. We cut somebody off in traffic. Or we went and looked in a house. What is a Homerama show? Homerama show is you go to a house and they open the house up, right? Parade of homes. And me and my wife, we love going there. But we've also looked in on houses, $1 million homes, multi-million-dollar homes, mansions, and even smaller houses in areas that we've looked at buying land in. And we wanted to see, man, this is a beautiful layout. Now, there's nothing in there to steal for the guy. The guy was on recording. He was recorded walking in there and then walking back out. So the next thing you know, the man's running down the street. He's jogging. He's not sprinting. He's not eluding anything. So we say, it would be great if life was fair, but we know it's not. We know it's not. But how do we handle the adversity? How do we be a friend to each other? You be a friend to each other by not encouraging people to do something is wrong. Well, guess what? The father and son were mostly probably encouraged to hurt this man. Now, I know that's speculation, but something had to happen because they really were there for that, right? And then just recently, another young African-American kid had literally 14 people, including the sheriff, go to his house and wanted to go and barge in to his house with guns. I mean, what are they supposed to think? So what I'm saying is, it doesn't feel so friendly out here for a lot of us, but I will say this to you. Have courage, have faith and hope. But here, more than just that, I want you to actively look for better people. And don't look at it as you can't look at, if you're black, I don't want you to look at this and say you can't look at white people or Asian people or anything. We have to stop with this focus of nationality as good or bad. There's good and bad in everybody. My best friend is of German descent, and I love him to pieces, and he loves me. His children are my godchildren, and I mean legally, guys. I actually have my name on a certificate. I come from the urban city, broken home, all the basically the stereotypes, right? And education is so important, and education comes in a many way. It doesn't just come from school; it comes from people that you're around. This man was the best man at my wedding. I was the best man at his wedding. I love this man. He loves me. His name is Ryan Smith. I don't mind telling you his name because he is my best friend and my brother for life. That's just the way he is. That's the way it is. If I needed anything down here in Virginia, he would be driving down here to help me. And if he needed something from me, I'm going to drive down there to help him, up there to help him. And that's just the way it is. But we love each other. We trust each other, and we're accountable to each other. And we don't look at each other for color. We look at each other for our heart and for what we believe in. We have to stop categorizing people and putting them in these boxes, because what we do as grown-ups when we do that, we give the children permission to do that. We teach them hatred is fine. You should hate police. You should hate white people. You should hate Asian. You should hate any nationality that's not yours. And that is totally wrong. So what do you say when your own nationality kills one of your own? Now what? You're not going to see picket signs and all these other things then. You know what I mean? So if we're going to be friends, let's be real friends. Let's tell each other, hey, let's not do that. Somebody wants to go and do something to somebody. Hey, man, I'm not in that. I'm not doing that. And they say, well, why not? Don't you think it's wrong? Well, I may think the person's wrong, but I don't want to bring violence to that individual. First of all, if he didn't do anything to me personally, or if he didn't hurt anybody in the family, he didn't do this, there's no point in even being that agitated. What we could do is we could let the legal system prevail, right? I'm trying to teach the young people that I run around and I mentor. Don't just take the law into your own hands, and don't fear everyone that you run across because they don't look like you. And all you hear about in the news is somebody being shot, somebody being raped, somebody being, beaten up, murder at alarming rates. And that's the same thing that goes for the coronavirus. Educate yourself, make your own decision, but listen to people that can be trusted. Don't be ashamed to read. Don't be ashamed to study. Pick up something and study. How does this work? And what are they trying to do? Does it make sense? Recently, they're saying they have a young guy, 20 years old, that is volunteered, and there's a group of people volunteering to get the coronavirus to see if they could find the antidotes for it, and, by way of, saying, yeah, man, these young people are very brave. I agree, but, because I wouldn't be able to do that. I personally, I fought for this country in the Navy, but I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to trust the government or trust anything enough to say, go ahead and shoot me with this virus and then give me the vaccination and let's see if it works or not. But that's me. Thank God we got people that are willing to do that. It's no different than I'm not going to, walk up to a crocodile and wrestle him and close his mouth just to prove to people that if you close his mouth, it'll keep it shut. But when Steve Irwin, the crocodile hunter, was on TV doing it, I was front and center watching it. The same thing as I do watching the shark and Jacques Cousteau, and he's dead now, but there's other people that I watch now with Shark Week, right? And that's the way I study these animals. I'm not going in the water to study them, but if somebody else is going to do it, I'm going to learn from it. But again, people out here, build your loyal friend base, and when you see it and you recognize it, you focus right there. If you're one of those people that has been selfish, be honest with yourself, because that's the only way you're going to fix it. You're not going to fix it if you can't see fault. You're seeing this play out a lot of times in a lot of what's going on TV now, where, people just point blame. They point the finger, and it's not helping the situation. It's not helping the situation by you pointing the finger at and saying this is their fault, this person's fault, that country's fault. We're in this together. The whole world is feeling this, so it's going to take the whole world to solve this. And just like in the things that we can, change and control is whether or not we wear masks and when we wear masks. There's a lot of contradiction on when you do it. Again, I have my doctors, I have health specialists that I believe in, and I had her on my show 3 times, and I converse with her a lot on things, and I do value her opinion. But the same thing, I value my doctor, my personal doctor, and I value the staff's opinion on that, but I also want to study it as well. So I try to make sure I can make an educated decision and get that that's a hypothesis, an educated guess on being right. But like I said, I don't want to add fuel to the fire. But it's very important that you associate yourself with good people. You associate yourself with people that won't flip on you as soon as the times get hard. And they'll be there with you through both thick and thin. And they'll come up with strategies with you. When you see people willing to come up with a strategy to help you do something, that's a friend. That's a friend. And when they stay with you consistently and you always know they're going to be there, that's family. They got your back. That's family. So, like I said, everyone, I hope this helped the a few people that asked me to do this. And I'm going to be signing out. But of course, feel free to go to Cherokee Edwards Inspires and ask me anything that you need. And I'll talk to you guys and I'll give you my opinion on it. God bless and safe travels. Keep your hands washed and clean, everyone. Love you. And I'll talk to you later.